Hello and welcome to Doom Does DVD, and this is Disney Classics number 31, Aladdin. Now, Aladdin in my mind is much like Beauty and the Beast. It is both peak Disney and one which I remember the big picture items about. But it's also one that I've not seen for quite a long time, and so the details are a bit fuzzy. I know there are monkeys and parrots and magic carpet rides and obviously Robin Williams, but beyond that I can't really remember a lot of how it all fits together. Actually, in my mind, when I think of Aladdin, it looks more like this. Because if you add up the hours, I've probably spent more time in my life playing the computer game adaptation than I have done actually spending watching the film. But I also don't actually remember a lot of the game beyond the opening level. It's a weird kind of thing of games from those days, is you didn't have save points and stuff. So you ended up starting over and over again, but very rarely actually completing them. But that's a complete unrelated tangent. I am really looking forward to revisiting this and refreshing my memory, so let's just get right on with that. So, don't get me wrong here, I love this a lot, and it's definitely still top tier Disney, but when compared to The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, there's just something there that's not quite at that level. It's not far off, but there's just something that doesn't quite feel right. My first instinct would be to say that it's quite possibly related to the death of Howard Ashman, as I briefly mentioned in the Little Mermaid video. But having watched the special features on this disc, it seems that this production was a little more troubled behind the scenes. It seems like at one point they were basically told just to scrap everything they've got so far and start again. Which they didn't exactly do, but there was definitely some heavy retooling. And considering all these issues, the fact that they still managed to turn out something so good is, a testament to, how good all these people are at their job. And it just needed kind of a bit of a kick to get them going. There's some great music in here, but there's also some stuff that's a bit less memorable and just seems a bit more generic musical theatre. Like A Whole New World is a classic, but the opening Street Rat song just seemed a little bit generic. But I think what puts me off about this the most is actually the genie. Now, Robin Williams' acting is absolutely fantastic, but what I found a bit off-putting while rewatching this was all the contemporary references. And I guess that sort of makes sense for the character of how he is and the all-powerful genie who can presumably see through time or something to get these references. But it also feels a little bit anachronistic and sort of pulls me out of the story. And particularly a lot of the references that were probably relevant in 1982 are starting to feel a little bit dated in 2020. And so while overall it is still pretty great, there's just a few little minor niggles that stop it from getting quite to that top tier. I was actually surprised at how many moments there were in this that were so obviously computer generated. It's something that child me would probably have never even thought of or even considered. And nowadays those early 3D CG moments just stick out like a sore thumb. The quality of the textures and rendering just doesn't match the rest of the picture. That is, in most of the cases. The obvious one is the 3D talking head of the Cave of Wonders, which interestingly had a digital wireframe made based on a series of animated drawings, so I'm wondering why they didn't just use the drawings for that. But what I did find fascinating, and I had no idea before, was about the magic carpet. If you think about the magic carpet character and how he moves around so much and folds over and bends around and flows all over the place, then you think about the textured pattern that carpet has. Then try and imagine trying to hand draw those bends frame by frame and get it to all look right without getting distorted. Now, technically that's probably something you could do with enough time and money, but it seems like time and money was not a thing that this project had. So this ended up almost being one of the very first ever CG characters. At least in the Disney films, so far the computers have only really been used for background environment, although there were technically a few computer-generated dancing forks in Beauty and the Beast during Be My Guest. They weren't really what you would call a main character. But in the end, the magic carpet ended up being more of a sort of hybrid system. It was hand-drawn like the rest of the characters, but only the rectangle and the tassels. Just the texture was then later added to that on top, so they could be deformed and move around automatically without having a human have to draw every single frame. I think that's one of the most interesting things I learned about the process of this one. Another interesting behind the scenes fact I found out was related to the voice work. For both Aladdin and Jasmine, the speaking voice and the singing voice were played by different people. Now, it's entirely possible that that has happened before, but this is the first time I noticed it get specifically credited and mentioned within the special features. And I guess it probably is quite a lot easier to find someone who can act and someone who can sing rather than trying to find someone who can do both. Actually, related to the music, another thing I noticed is the very first opening credit. You know, in most cases that would be your star actor. Although, interestingly, the cast don't actually get mentioned at all. But that's not the point. The very first credit goes to original songs by. Because it seems like at this point, that's the draw. After winning Oscars for The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, that's what they think is the big draw now. People are coming for the new Disney music. Which, thankfully, mostly delivered. And so, that's about it for Aladdin. Brilliant, but not perfect. What are your thoughts on Aladdin? Tell me about those in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next week with The Lion King.